So welcome to the 10 mistakes that people make when they buy new construction. And let's hop right out of the gates with a really simple one. Number one is that they don't research the builder and they make assumptions and they don't know reviews. Do your research, find out what's included with the house and what's an option. Find out what their build times are. So many things you need to find out with the builder. So do your research. And if you want help with that locally here in St. Johns County, I'm your guy.
The second mistake people make when they're buying new construction is they assume that their upgrades are going to bring way more value than maybe they are to the house. And just as a quick example, for example, here is a countertop. And what is this? It's a quartz countertop. And it's a beautiful quartz countertop. And obviously this is in my house, so I love this quartz countertop. But someone else could go and spend $20,000 for something like that. That's a much higher level, higher grade quartz countertop. And guess what? I may not like it. So just because you spend $20,000 on a countertop doesn't mean it's actually going to be $20,000 for you in the value of your home. People are basically looking at, is it quartz? It's quartz. Is it granite? It's granite. Let's not take that for granted. Just keep in mind that there's something called value in use. And value in use means just the enjoyment you get out of it because you love it and it's for you. It's not for your future buyers on the house. And then there's value for your future buyers. So what are people going to pay more for? So upgrading from granite to quartz, definitely a great idea. Upgrading from one quartz that you like to maybe a much more expensive quartz that you kind of like too. If you're thinking about future value for reselling your house, then the lower priced quartz is going to do just as well for you as a level 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever quartz. So mistake number 3 that people make when they buy new construction, and I'm sitting in my truck right now because it's super gusty out here, and that's all you're going to hear is wind noise. So mistake number 3 is that people ignore the location of the neighborhood or the location of the lot. Location of the neighborhood's great, and that's pretty easy to determine. Is it near work? Is it near school? Is there a new freeway going to come and cut right through the middle of it? Like we have one neighborhood here in St. Johns County where that's going to happen. But even more so on a more micro level, ignoring the location of the lot. Ignore that to your peril. Let me explain. So I like these lots here. This is a lake lot. And the nice thing about this is it's surrounded by houses. And so you always know what's going to be on the other side of the lake. If I zoom in here where that truck's going by right there, that's a preserve lot. And so I actually have some buyers that are building a house here on this lake. And we started looking at preserve, and one of the reasons that they're building on the lake is we know that there's trees back here right now, but what we don't know if those trees are still going to be there 5 years from now. It's not clear on who owns the land behind and what might happen with that in the future. And so just exercising a lot of caution. These buyers feel much more confident building here on the lake, knowing what's going to be behind them and knowing that it's not going to be commercial. It's not going to be maybe apartment buildings or something like that in the future. So I like lakes like this for that reason. And then a lot of times I like preserve where there's houses behind the preserve already and you know there's not going to be anything else built in between. So if you're going to build on preserve and your lot buttresses right up onto a lot line of another property that's not owned by your developer, a property that's owned by somebody else, just be crystal clear on what the future of that lot is going to be behind you, because you don't want to wind up like some neighborhoods even in Nocatee, thinking about the ranch where people ended up having some storage units behind them, or maybe in Silverleaf where there's an interstate passing through. All kinds of different possible headaches. So again, don't make mistake number 3. Make sure you know what's going to happen with your lot. Make sure what's going to happen with your neighborhood, and just get all the information ahead of time.
And so the 4th mistake people make when they buy new construction is time. See what I did there? Timing the build can be challenging, and a lot of times, we saw through COVID, we saw people expecting an 8, 9, 10 month build, and then sometimes those were taking 12, 13, 14, 18 months to get a build done. You need to have a plan in place, and you need to bake in some extra time. And on the other way, sometimes a build can go much more quickly than expected too. And the builder is going to expect you to close when they're ready. And that's all going to be in the contract there. So you need to have a plan in place. If you're renting and you have month to month, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But if you've got a house to sell, definitely talk to a real estate agent early in the process. You should have someone representing you on your build, but you definitely need to talk to someone about when you're going to list your house and figure that out, get a plan in place. So when your build is ready to go, you're able to close and not stuck needing to sell in order to close or anything like that. So a lot of communication, and the earlier that communication can happen, the better to get a really solid plan in place. So number 4, not planning to plan for timing of the build. Big mistake.
Mistake number 5 people make when they're buying a new construction home is they skip inspections. And there are probably 3 or 4 inspections that we recommend people get when they're building new construction. Your first inspection is typically going to be what we call the pre-slab. Now this isn't ready for it yet. What they're going to do here is they're going to run all the plumbing and the electrical and the things that are going to get under the slab that's going to get poured. And so there's going to be plumbing and all sorts of different things that you might want to get a set of eyes on, and so you can hire an inspector yourself to come and do that. Now we're going to zip over right here to talk about inspection number 2. Your second inspection is probably going to be your pre-drywall. It's called pre-drywall because, well, obviously there's no drywall up yet. The ghosts are here. And it's really easy at this point to come in and make sure that everything's where it's supposed to be. Make sure that all your outlets and your switches and your Cat 5 and everything is exactly where it's supposed to be. Because right now it's pretty easy. If this isn't where it's supposed to be, if this is supposed to be over here, it's very easy to switch that. And of course, it's also very easy at this point to make sure that everything gets tested properly and everything's hooked up the way it's supposed to be hooked up. So you're going to have your pre-drywall inspection as your second inspection. The third inspection you're going to do, super echoey, is going to be your pre-close inspection. Now this house isn't quite ready for that yet. I just popped into this one because it was next to a bunch that I was filming anyways. But on that pre-close, obviously you're going to be checking to make sure that you don't have stuff like this, that everything's already set as far as the paint's in good condition, the cabinets are installed correctly, the dishwasher works. You're making sure that everything is working and functioning as it should before you actually close on the home. And the fourth and final inspection actually happens after you've been living in the house for a while. So most builders give you kind of a bumper to bumper 1-year warranty. And at the end of that 1 year, after you've lived in that house for 11 months, we recommend actually going out and getting an inspection. So then you've got time to come to the builder right before your 12 months is up and say, hey builder, I had an inspection done. Notice that there was a cracked truss. I noticed that there was a leak over on this sink right here, and you're able to go in and give that to the builder and have them make all the repairs while you're still under warranty. Mistake number 6 that people make when they're buying new construction is rushing through your walkthroughs. You're gonna do primarily 2 main walkthroughs, and one is going to be just before the drywall goes up. You're going to do a pre-drywall walkthrough. Now we recommend a pre-drywall inspection, and this is a little bit different. The pre-drywall walkthrough is where you go with the builder and we make sure that everything is where it's supposed to be. And so we're checking to make sure smoke detectors are in, that the gas is ready for the stove, for the cooktop, that the outlets are where they're supposed to be. And it's really easy at that point to move things or maybe add things that got left out. And so it's a good time to take your time, ask lots of questions, and really know where things are. You know where the main power connection to the house is. You want to know where your water cutoffs and things are. And you're going to learn some of that stuff as well later on, but the pre-drywall inspection is going to be your opportunity to move floor outlets, make sure that everything is exactly where it's supposed to be before you put up the drywall, and then it becomes a big hassle and a pain to make changes. So mistake number 7 is falling in love with the model home and not realizing that everything in the model isn't necessarily a standard feature. Now, for instance, this one actually has textured walls, but sometimes you'll find smooth walls in the model, and then you'll find out that in the actual home, standard is textured. Obviously, this shower is upgraded. It's frameless. It's got the double shower heads. No rain head there, but other little things too, like the 5-inch molding is typically going to be 3 1/4 So as you move in here, this one's pretty standard, but then you'll have things like upgraded to quartz here. The square bowl will be an upgrade. The cabinets will be an upgrade. Point being, just make sure that you know what the standards are, and every builder has different standards. And when I say standards, I don't necessarily mean with workmanship. There are different standards for that too. But every builder is going to have different standards as far as what comes with the house. Are they hollow doors or solid doors? Are you 5-inch baseboards or 3¼ inch baseboards? All those are things that you have to take into account, because if you want the bigger baseboards and they're not standard, then it's going to be an upcharge when you go to the design center. But anyways, fall in love with the model, but just make sure that you know if you want your house to look like the model, it's going to cost you some more at the design center later.
The 8th mistake that people make when they're buying a new construction house is they don't understand the incentives when they're being offered. Sometimes, really easy, the builder tells you exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get a price reduction, you're going to get money that you can spend at the design center, but more often than not, they give you flexible incentives where the buyer has the option to use those incentives how the buyer wants to use those incentives. And we have learned that math is the path, and depending on your goals, there are definitely the right way and the wrong way to use those incentives. So don't make a mistake and take a price reduction on the house when having the builder buy your rate down might give you 4 or 5 times the value than you would if you just took the price off the home. Anyways, I've got some other videos on that, but yeah, don't make mistake number 8 and misuse your incentives. All right, what is mistake number 9? Mistake number 9 is not understanding that there are more fees and more costs than just your mortgage alone. Maybe you're in a CDD neighborhood, and so those things, typically they're going to hit your escrow, but if you're just thinking about the taxes and you're not thinking about the CDD that's applied to your tax bill, don't know what a CDD is, call me, I'll have that conversation with you. But make sure that you understand all the fees that are going to hit you on your monthly payment. A lot of the neighborhoods around here, they might have a master HOA, for instance, where there's $1,200 a year for an HOA, and then a smaller HOA fee just for the particular neighborhood within your wider development. So lots of costs, lots of fees, insurance has been going up. So make sure that you can actually afford the house that you're building when it comes time to close on it, maybe even a year later. And mistake number 10, double high five, is really related very closely to number 9, but it's about getting to the closing table and understanding that just having the down payment isn't enough. There are other closing costs. Here in resale deals, there's a split between closing costs between the buyer and the seller. Around here, the builders are very generous, and in their generosity, they give all the closing costs to the buyers to pay. Sometimes they take those back in incentives, which we talked about back in mistake number 8, I believe. But there are closing costs as well. And so you have to understand what those are so you don't get to the closing table and think, man, I got my 20% down or my 3% down or my 10% down or whatever that happens to be. But well, wait, there's another $15,000 or $20,000 that you need to have cash on hand so you can actually close on the house. Don't make mistake number 10. Make sure you understand all your closing costs. Talk to a real estate agent, talk to your mortgage professional, get it done, understand it, be prepared, and oh, we've got one more bonus tip coming up as well.
So mistake number 11, bonus mistake that people make when they buy a new construction, it's not getting things in writing. And a lot of times the sales staff, maybe they don't know things all the way. Maybe they're making it up as they go along. There's all kinds of different reasons that things can get confused. People can forget things. Everything needs to be in writing. And here's a good example. So this area here, excuse the wind, on the maps, on the site maps for this neighborhood, it showed that there was a school going in here behind me. And so that's what's happening right now. You see all this construction. Let me get out of the wind here. That's why I was around the sand pile. You see all this construction here. This was all known. This is a school and everyone knew this was going in. The problem is that people who bought these lots here, they thought they were going to have a preserved buffer between them and the school. Now the school is going in, it's going to be warehouses, and there's a lot of upset people that bought thinking they're going to have some privacy in their backyard, maybe some noise from the school, whatever, but they didn't have in writing that there was going to be a buffer, and just can't assume things. So anyways, feel awful for these guys over here that have bought, and they've got they've got some warehouses and school behind them. That's what happens sometimes in new construction. If you're gonna make mistakes, this is a big one. We talked about one of the other mistakes was knowing what's happening around your lot. And related to that is if the salespeople are telling you that nothing's gonna happen behind your lot, that anything at all, just you want every single thing, any kind of promise in writing, that way nobody forgets, there's no confusion, no hard feelings.
So that was your top 10 mistakes that people make when they're buying new construction. Actually, you got the bonus one, so it was 11. But hopefully those were helpful. If you have any questions at all about the process, I would love to have a chat, even if you're not here in St. Johns County, if you're not just here in Florida. Always like to help people out. So send me a direct message, give me a call, whatever it looks like, and look forward to chatting with you soon.